Hello, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the Godly Playroom here at Christ Lutheran Church. I have a story for you. Do you feel ready? Watch. Once again, we have a little piece of the desert because the desert and the wilderness is such an important part of our stories. The desert is always changing and shifting. People don't go to the desert unless they absolutely have to, because it's easy to lose your way, because it's never the same place twice. People that go or live in the desert wear heavy clothing because by day the sun beats down and burns your skin, but at night it's freezing cold, and the wind blows and stings your skin. Now, after the people of God had received the 10 best ways, they continued to wander in the wilderness toward the promised land. And they loved the 10 best ways so much. They wanted to keep them close all the time because it helped them live better in community and feel closer to God's presence. And so God showed them a way to carry the 10 best ways. They built a golden box and inside placed the tablets of the 10 best ways. And on top of the box, it had a cherubim and seraphim carving, and it had long poles so that people could carry it through the desert. It was called the Ark of the Covenant. And you would think that would be enough to help them come close to the mystery of God's presence and that feeling of being close to the 10 best ways. But that was not enough. So they began to light incense, and the rising smoke reminded them of the smoke they followed toward the mountain, and it filled the air with perfume. And so when they would walk past the smoke toward the Ark of the Covenant, they felt God's presence. But that was not quite enough for them, and so they got a 7-candle lampstand called a menorah, and then a table of showbread with 12 loaves of bread on it, one for each tribe of Israel. And so they would walk past the menorah and the table of showbread and the incense toward the mystery of God's presence in the Ark of the Covenant, but that was not enough to come close to God. And so they built a great tent. And the tent had rooms in it, so that there was a special room called the Holy of Holies that housed just the Ark of the Covenant. And then the anteroom, the first room that they would come to, would have the altar of incense, the table of showbread, and the menorah that they would walk past into the Holy of Holies to experience God's presence. But that was not enough. And so they added layers, 4 layers of cloth. Some were embroidered with angels, some dyed ram skin. It protected the whole tent. And they would walk through the room into the Holy of Holies, but that was still not enough. So outside of the tent, they placed a great fire for offering sacrifices. And on the other side of the entrance, they placed a great basin of water so that the priest might wash It was called the laver. And so they would walk past the fire and the laver into the room under all the cloths, past the table of showbread and the menorah and the altar of incense into the Holy of Holies. But that was not enough for them to come close to the mystery of God's presence. They placed around all of this whole perimeter, a great curtain of cloth. And then it came to be that only the priest could go in to the tent at a certain time. And at that time, only men could be priests. And then the priest began to wear certain kinds of clothing to enter into the tent. But that was not even enough for them to feel closest to the mystery of God's presence. Finally, God gave Moses' brother Aaron these words, and Aaron shared them with all in his tribe so that they may come close to the mystery of God's presence. They might be words that you hear today. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord's face shine on you with grace and mercy. The Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace. Now, I wonder what part of this story you like the best. I wonder what part of this seems like it's the most important part of this story. I wonder what part of this story is especially about you. I wonder if there's any part of this story we might be able to take away and still have all that we need. Well, I invite you to pause and maybe do some artwork or do some drawings or reflecting or write a story, or maybe talk with your friends and family that's there watching this video with you. And if you'd like to join us in person, we invite you to do so on Sunday mornings at 9:15. And we would love to share this story with you and let you play in the sand. See you soon.